The office was quiet that autumn afternoon when Sarah and Robert entered hand in hand. As a urologist for 15 years, I had witnessed countless similar stories, but something in this couple's gaze immediately caught my attention. Sarah, an elegant 58-year-old woman, exuded a serenity that contrasted with the evident nervousness of Robert, her 62-year-old husband. "Doctor, we need help," Sarah began, her soft voice breaking the silence of the room. Robert remained silent, his eyes fixed on the floor. In over a decade of seeing couples, I learned that these first moments are crucial for establishing a connection of trust. "I'm here to help," I replied with a welcoming smile. "Let's talk calmly about what brings you here today." I noticed Robert's shoulders relax slightly at my words. Sarah continued, "We've been married for 35 years, Doctor. We always had a wonderful, intimate life. But in recent years..." She paused, searching for the right words. "Things have changed." It was at this moment that Robert finally looked up. "I can't be the man she deserves anymore," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "I tried all those medications they sell on the internet, but it only made things worse. I'm afraid of disappointing Sarah." As a specialist in sexual medicine, I had heard similar stories countless times. Aging brings natural changes to the body, but the lack of adequate information and the taboos surrounding sexuality in later life often transform these changes into real ghosts. "Robert," I began, leaning slightly towards him, "what you're feeling is more common than you might think. The changes that occur with age are natural, and more importantly, there are various safe and effective treatments available." I saw his eyes light up with a glimmer of hope. Sarah gently squeezed his hand, a gesture that said more than words. "But before we talk about specific treatments," I continued, "I need to understand your story better. When did you notice the first changes?" The couple looked at each other, and Sarah took the initiative. "It was about 2 years ago. At first, it was small things. Robert began to avoid our intimate moments, always with some excuse. I thought it was work stress, but then I realized he was really suffering." Robert added, "I started to feel that my body wasn't responding like before. The sensitivity changed, and sometimes, even when I really wanted to, I couldn't. You know?" His face blushed slightly. "I understand perfectly," I assured them. "It's important for you to know that these changes have a physiological basis. With aging, natural changes occur in hormone production, blood circulation, and neural response. But that doesn't mean you can't have a satisfying, intimate life." I opened my drawer and took out some informational leaflets that I always keep on hand. "I'm going to explain in detail how our body changes over time and why this happens. Knowledge is the first step to overcoming fears and finding solutions." Sarah and Robert adjusted in their chairs, visibly more relaxed. That moment marked the beginning of a journey of rediscovery that I would have the privilege of accompanying. "The secret lies in understanding that intimacy goes far beyond the physical aspect," I explained. "It's about connection, affection, and complicity. And you already demonstrate having a solid foundation in these aspects." I spent the next hour explaining the physiological changes of aging, demystifying misconceptions, and presenting the various therapeutic options available. With each explanation, I saw Robert's expression transform, as if a huge weight was being lifted from his shoulders. "What impresses me the most," I commented, "is how you faced this together. Many couples let silence and fear create insurmountable barriers. But you're here, seeking help united. That's already half the battle." Sarah smiled, her eyes watery. "We've built a life together, Doctor. I won't let these changes shake what we have." At the end of the consultation, we established a personalized treatment plan, starting with detailed exams to assess Robert's general health and identify possible contributing factors to his difficulties. But more important than that, we planted the seed of hope and understanding. In the weeks following the first consultation, I closely monitored Sarah and Robert's journey. The initial exams revealed that Robert had slightly altered hormone levels and some cardiovascular risk factors that needed attention. But what struck me most was how the couple viewed each new discovery as an opportunity for growth. "You're in excellent shape for your age, Robert," I commented during our second consultation, analyzing the results. "The changes we found are perfectly treatable. The important thing now is to adopt an integrated approach." Sarah, always present and participative, had a small notebook where she wrote down all the instructions. "Doctor, since our last conversation, we've started taking walks together every morning. Robert even quit smoking." Her pride was evident. "That's excellent," I exclaimed. "Regular physical activity and smoking cessation are fundamental not only for cardiovascular health, but also for sexual function. You're on the right track." Robert, who previously could barely talk about his difficulties, now actively participated in the consultations. "You know, doctor, those breathing and relaxation exercises you taught have really helped with anxiety." I smiled, satisfied with the progress. As a specialist in sexual medicine, I know that treatment goes far beyond prescribing medications. It's necessary to approach the patient holistically, considering physical, emotional, and relational aspects. "Today, we're going to talk about something very important," I introduced, picking up some anatomical models I use for patient education. "I'm going to explain in detail how our body responds to sexual stimuli and how these responses change over time." Over the next hour, we openly discussed sexual physiology, demystifying beliefs and prejudices. I explained how aging affects different aspects of sexual response, from changes in libido to changes in tactile sensitivity. "The most important thing," I emphasized, "is to understand that these changes don't mean the end of sexual life, but rather an opportunity to explore new forms of intimacy." Sarah nodded, thoughtful. "Since our last conversation, we've been dedicating more time to moments of affection, without pressure. Sometimes we just lie embraced, talking, and it has been wonderful." "Exactly," I responded enthusiastically. "Intimacy has many faces. Touch, gaze, words of affection. All of this is part of a satisfying sexual experience." Robert shared his own discoveries. "Before, I was so focused on performance that I forgot to enjoy the moment. Now I'm learning to relax and feel each sensation." I then introduced the concept of sexual mindfulness, an approach that has shown promising results in treating sexual difficulties. "It's like a meditation focused on bodily sensations and the pleasure of the present moment," I explained. Sarah and Robert practiced some simple body awareness exercises right there in the office. It was gratifying to see how open they were to new experiences and learnings. "I also want to congratulate you on your communication," I observed. "Many couples avoid talking about sexuality, especially at this stage of life. But you demonstrate admirable maturity in addressing the subject." Robert's medical treatment was progressing well, with gradual adjustments in dosage as needed. But it was evident that the greatest transformations were happening in the emotional and relational field. "Last week," Sarah shared with a shy smile, "we had a romantic dinner at home. We lit candles, put on music. It was like going back to our dating days." Robert added, "And the best part is that we weren't stuck on expectations. We enjoyed every moment, every touch, every word of affection. It's a different way of experiencing intimacy, but no less special." This new perspective on intimacy and sexuality was exactly what I hoped to awaken in my patients. As a doctor, my role goes beyond treating physical symptoms. It involves helping people reconnect with their bodies and their partners in a healthy and pleasurable way. After 3 months of regular follow-up, the transformation in Sarah and Robert was visible. That spring morning, when they entered my office for another session, I noticed something different in their looks. A renewed complicity, a lightness I hadn't seen in a long time. "Doctor, we need to share the news," Sarah began, barely containing her enthusiasm. Robert, at her side, smiled serenely, a notable change compared to his initial posture. As a doctor specializing in sexual medicine, I learned that every small victory deserves to be celebrated. "I'm eager to hear," I replied, adjusting in my chair. "We started that dance class you suggested," Robert revealed, surprising me with his initiative. At first, I was apprehensive, but I discovered it's a wonderful way to reconnect. The dance suggestion hadn't been just a random recommendation. As part of the holistic treatment, pleasurable physical activity performed as a couple can bring significant benefits, both for cardiovascular health and intimacy. Dance has a transformative power, I explained. Besides the physical benefits, such as improved circulation and balance, it promotes synchronization between partners, stimulates endorphin production, and helps rediscover the pleasure of touch without pressure. Sarah enthusiastically agreed. "That's exactly it. We have so much fun that we don't even realize we're exercising. And after the classes, we feel more energetic, more connected." I took the moment to conduct a more detailed assessment of the progress achieved. Robert's exams showed significant improvement in his health markers. Blood pressure was under control, and hormone levels were beginning to balance with proper treatment. "What impresses me the most," I commented while analyzing the results, "is how you've transformed this challenge into an opportunity for growth as a couple. Many let themselves be discouraged, but you chose a different path." Robert then shared something that deeply touched me. "You know, Doctor, I always thought that aging meant losing things. Vigor, desire, intimacy. But I'm discovering that it's possible to gain things too. We've gained more patience, more understanding for each other." This reflection opened space for an important discussion about how our society views aging and sexuality. As a healthcare professional, I often encounter prejudices and taboos that need to be deconstructed. Sexuality and maturity has its particularities, but it can be as or more satisfying than at any other stage of life, I explained. The secret lies in accepting the changes and adapting to them with creativity and affection. Sarah then shared an important discovery. "We've learned to value each moment. Before, I was always worried about the end result. Now, each caress, each kiss, each hug has a special meaning." I took the opportunity to introduce some mindfulness techniques specific for couples. Mindfulness helps us to be truly present, in the moment, feeling each sensation without judgments or expectations, I guided, demonstrating some simple breathing and body awareness exercises. "And what about the medications, Doctor?" Robert asked, showing more openness to discuss his treatment. "I've noticed a significant difference, but sometimes I still worry about the long-term effects." It was a valid and frequent concern among my patients. I took time to explain in detail how the medications worked, their benefits, and possible side effects. "The important thing is to maintain regular follow-ups and adjust the treatment as needed," I emphasized. "What makes me happiest," Sarah commented, "is seeing how Robert is more confident. It's not just about physical intimacy, it's about feeling good about himself again." We ended the consultation with a series of new recommendations and exercises for them to practice at home. The couple's evolution was a powerful reminder of how love, combined with proper medical knowledge, can overcome the challenges of aging. On a particularly busy afternoon in the office, I received an unexpected call from Sarah. Her voice conveyed a mixture of excitement and nervousness that immediately caught my attention. "Doctor, I need to share something important," she began. "Robert and I have been invited to participate in a support group for mature couples in our community. They want us to share our experience. What do you think?" As a healthcare professional with years of experience in sexual medicine, I always encourage my patients to break the silence surrounding issues related to aging and intimacy. However, I also knew the importance of respecting each individual's boundaries. "Sarah, this is a very personal decision," I replied carefully. "How does Robert feel about it?" "Actually, it was his idea," she responded with evident surprise in her voice. "He said that if our story could help other couples, it's worth sharing." We scheduled a special consultation to discuss this new phase. When the couple arrived, I noticed how different they were from that first meeting, months ago. Robert, once so reserved, now demonstrated a serene confidence. I met some men in the exercise group, Robert explained during the consultation. When I mentioned we were doing medical follow-ups, many showed interest. I realized we're not alone on this journey. It was an opportune moment to discuss how to approach intimate issues in a broader social context. As a doctor, I know that health education is a powerful tool for transformation. It's important to establish some parameters, I advised. You can share your personal experiences while maintaining an appropriate level of privacy. The focus should be on the lessons learned, the positive discoveries. Sarah nodded, taking out her inseparable notebook. We made a list of topics we'd like to address: the importance of open communication, the fundamental role of medical follow-up. Excellent, I approved. I also suggest talking about how aging can be an opportunity to rediscover intimacy. Many couples need to hear this message. During our conversation, we worked together to develop some guidelines for participation in the support group. It was crucial to maintain a balance between sharing useful experiences and preserving the couple's intimacy. Remember, I emphasized, each couple is unique. What worked for you may not work for others. The important thing is to encourage everyone to seek professional help and find their own path. Robert shared a profound reflection. You know, Doctor, if someone had told me 6 months ago that I would be willing to talk openly about these issues, I wouldn't have believed it. But I've learned that silence only hurts us. Sarah added, and we've discovered that the more we talk about it, the more people identify with it and feel encouraged to seek help. As a doctor specializing in sexual health, I couldn't be more satisfied with this evolution. The stigma surrounding sexuality in later life is a significant barrier that needs to be constantly addressed. You're becoming true ambassadors for sexual health and maturity, I commented with genuine pride. This is extremely valuable for our community. We dedicated part of the consultation to discussing how to address delicate questions that might arise in the group. I prepared informational material they could use as a reference, always emphasizing the importance of professional follow-up. Knowledge is liberating, I explained. When we understand that changes are natural and that there are resources to deal with them, fear gives way to hope. Before ending the consultation, Sarah made a touching observation. Our journey began as something very personal, but it's turning into something bigger. It's gratifying to be able to help other couples. 6 months had passed since Sarah and Robert first entered my office. On that special morning for reassessment, the atmosphere was different. Sarah had brought a small bouquet of flowers, which now adorned my desk. They're to thank you, Doctor, she explained with teary eyes. This semester has changed our lives in a way we never imagined possible. As a doctor specializing in sexual medicine, I had followed many stories of overcoming, but this couple's journey was particularly inspiring. The transformation wasn't just physical. It was visible in every gesture, every look exchanged between them. Let's analyze the results of the latest tests, I proposed, opening Robert's medical record. The numbers are really encouraging. His health markers had improved significantly, reflecting the lifestyle changes the couple had implemented. Robert, who previously could barely talk about his difficulties, now openly shared his experiences. You know, Doctor, those breathing and relaxation techniques you taught have become part of our routine, not just in intimate moments, but throughout the day, Sarah added. And the dance classes continue to be our favorite activity. We're already at the intermediate level. The pride in her voice was evident. As part of the follow-up protocol, we conducted a comprehensive assessment of the progress achieved. It was gratifying to see how each aspect of the treatment had contributed to an overall improvement in the couple's quality of life. The support group has been an incredible experience, Sarah shared. Last week, a lady approached us after the meeting, crying. She said our story gave hope to her and her husband. And the most interesting thing, Robert added, is that the more we help other couples, the more we learn about ourselves. Each shared story brings a new perspective. As a healthcare professional, I know that the social component of treatment is as important as the medical one. Seeing my patients not only overcoming their own challenges but also becoming agents of transformation in their community was extremely gratifying. "You've become true health educators," I commented. "This is invaluable, especially when we're talking about topics that are still taboo in our society." Sarah then shared something that moved me. We started organizing monthly dinners with other couples from the group, not to talk specifically about intimacy, but to celebrate life, friendship, mature love. "And you know what's most interesting, Doctor?" Robert completed. "In these gatherings, conversations about health, well-being, and relationships naturally arise. People feel comfortable sharing their doubts and experiences." I took the moment to make some final adjustments to Robert's medication treatment. With the significant improvement in his overall health, we could begin to gradually reduce some doses. "The secret is in balance," I explained. "Medications are important, but they're only part of the treatment. True transformation happens when we care for the body and mind in an integrated way." Sarah then shared a precious discovery. "We've learned that intimacy has many faces. Sometimes it's a passionate kiss, sometimes it's holding hands while watching the sunset. Each moment has its own value. And most importantly," Robert added, "there's no more pressure, no more demands. We've learned to live each moment with more presence and gratitude." As a doctor, I know that the success of a treatment isn't measured just by numbers and tests. True healing happens when our patients rediscover their ability to live fully, in all dimensions of their existence. "You are an example of how love, combined with knowledge and proper care, can overcome any challenge," I commented, genuinely touched by their evolution. At the last follow-up consultation, Sarah and Robert arrived with a surprise, an elegant invitation on pearlescent paper. "It's for our vow renewal celebration," Sarah announced, her eyes shining with emotion. As a doctor specializing in sexual medicine and couples health, I had witnessed many special moments throughout my career. But that invitation symbolized something extraordinary: the transformation of a challenge into a journey of rediscovery. "We want you to be present," Robert said sincerely. "After all, you're part of this reconstruction story." As we conducted the final evaluation, I reflected on how this couple had completely transformed their perspective on aging and intimacy. What began as a search for medical solutions had become a profound journey of self-knowledge and renewal. "You know," I began, adjusting my glasses, "as a professional, I learn as much as I teach. Each couple I see brings new perspectives on love, intimacy, and overcoming." Sarah smiled, taking out her famous notebook, now almost completely filled. "Doctor, we made a list of everything we've learned in these months. We'd like to share it with you." Robert, demonstrating a confidence that strongly contrasted with his initial posture, began to enumerate. "We learned that aging isn't the end of intimacy, but an opportunity to reinvent it. That each phase of life has its own discoveries and pleasures. And more importantly," Sarah completed, "we discovered that we're not alone on this journey. That there are prepared professionals and other couples willing to share experiences and support." As a doctor, I took the opportunity to conduct a final review of the treatment protocol. The results were extremely positive, not only in physical aspects, but mainly in the couple's overall quality of life. "The support group continues to grow," Robert shared enthusiastically. "Now we have couples of different ages, some even younger, seeking preventive guidance. This is extremely important," I emphasized. "Prevention and knowledge are fundamental for a healthy sex life at any age." Sarah then revealed something touching. "You know, Doctor, we decided to transform our experience into something even bigger. We're organizing educational talks at community centers, always emphasizing the importance of proper medical follow-up." As a healthcare professional, I couldn't be more satisfied. Seeing my patients become multipliers of knowledge and well-being was the ultimate realization of my mission. And for our celebration, Robert explained, we've prepared a special surprise. We're going to present our first dance as a couple to all the guests. It's our way of showing that it's never too late to start over. The most beautiful thing, Sarah added with teary eyes, is seeing how our story has inspired other couples. We've received such moving messages from people who found hope through our example. We finished the consultation with a review of the main care and guidelines for maintaining sexual health. Although the intensive follow-up was coming to an end, the door to my office would always remain open for them. You are living proof that mature love can be a deeply enriching experience, I commented, genuinely moved. Not only did you overcome the challenges, but you transformed your experience into a source of inspiration for others. Robert held Sarah's hand affectionately. We learned that every moment is precious, that true intimacy isn't in perfection, but in acceptance and mutual care. And most importantly, Sarah concluded, we discovered that love doesn't age. It matures, transforms, and renews itself every day. As I watched them leave the office, I reflected on how stories like theirs reaffirmed my vocation as a doctor. Aging, when understood and lived with knowledge and love, can be one of the richest and most rewarding phases of life.